Hi, my name's Jonathan Hicks. I'm back at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by
Steve.
Mark. And we just finished playing Witchstone, which is by Reiner, Knizia and Martino Chiacchiera, I think, something like that. And it's about moving witches around. The theme is a little bit thin here, but essentially you have your own board here, and you're trying to take actions by placing tokens on the board. You have a screen which hides your choice, but each time you're going to get a choice of 5s. So you look through here and you think, which of these tokens is going to be best? And whatever token you pick, let's say I'm going for this one, you can put it anywhere you like on the board. You can't cover the crystals though, so you're looking for empty spaces, and you're trying to connect sections. So in fact, if I put it like this, you'll see how this works. So because I've joined it up with another crystal, I will get a crystal action of power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's a connected group of 5. And then I will get a scroll action of power 1, 2, 3, 4. So whenever you place it, you're going to get 2 actions for the 2 things you placed, but depending on how many other things are connected, you're thinking as you go through the game how to maximize the actions and make connected groups, essentially. Now, what do all the different actions do? Well, there's one important thing that's taking place on the center board here. You kind of start with your big witch in one location here, and one thing you're trying to do is build connections. So the connection symbol, which is this one here, will let you place these connections out on the board, sort of spreading out Ticket to Ride style from your starting witch, and you're getting points as you complete sections. So if you complete a section of 1, you get 1 point, 2 is 3 points, and a section of 3 will be 6 points. So when I completed this section 3, I got 6 points. You're getting points by just building connections. Another thing you can do is put witches out on the board. So every time you put a new witch out on the board, they kind of lie down. And then for another witch point, then you can sort of stand them up and they will travel along your network. And you're kind of racing to get to the different locations. The first person to get to each location gets a little token, which will do something. This adds another witch on the board. That's great. I would grab another witch and add it here. And you can see at the end of the game here, we've got witches sort of all over the place. Another reason you're trying to get your witches all over the board is there are various endgame scoring things, like this one here, which will give you different points depending on how many connections you've got on the board, for example, or how many witches you've got on the board. So I managed to get 9 witches on the board, so at the end of the game this is worth 7 points to me. How do you get these scroll endgame scoring cards? Well, as you might have guessed, that's the little scroll action. So there's an offer here, and you pick from there, and depending on how strong your action is, so in this case mine was power 4, then you can choose up to the first 4. So you're picking one of them each time, but you can go up to this. So you get a better choice if you've got a more powerful action. Other things you can do then is go on the pentagram Wheel of Fortune, and you, wherever you are, whatever your action is, you would go kind of, if I got an action of 3, I go 1, 2, 3 spaces. And when you go past the yellow things, you grab them, and they're worth points. Whoever goes past it first kind of gets more points. So these, it starts off at 7 points, I think, was it? And then they go down. So you're racing to get these earlier because you can get more points if you go past those first. But then when you go past the blue ones, you grab one of these and you can stick it on your board. You can see I put one of these on the board, which kind of counts as the symbols to make the actions more powerful. Or you can just immediately cash it in to get 2 actions of whatever it says. You can get another 2 spins on the pentagram wheel, and maybe that will get you to something else. So that's the pentagram. Another action then is crystals. You can see these crystals block the spaces at the start of the game. There's sort of a ring of them in the middle here. But you can spend crystal actions to move them. So if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power, I can move 5 spaces. And what you're trying to do is get them to the edge of the board. So if I move 1, 2, 3 spaces, then you can remove it, so it frees up space on your board. But also you get to do the green thing. And the green actions are listed here. They're exactly the same as all the other actions, but when you put it on, so if I go onto a witch, I could put it here, and I'd get 2 witches on the board. But I think I managed to get it off onto the 1 space, so I could put it on the 1 thing here, and I get 2 wands. What are wands, are you asking? Well, there's a kind of giant, I don't know if you can see it, kind of wand along the bottom here. Everybody starts on the left, and you're kind of racing to move along the 1 spot. So when you get to certain spots here, like this is giving you a point for every witch you got on the board. But this one, it's going to give you 2 witches to add to the board. But whoever gets to this space first gets to do it twice. You'd actually get 4 witches. So you can see as you're going through the game, like you're getting extra pentagram moves. People are racing to get the actions first to get the bonus and get to do it twice. But obviously, the later you do it in the game, then the more points you're going to get. 'Cause you'll have more witches on the board or more connections on the board. So that's the wands track. And I think pretty much that covers all the actions. So after you've placed your tile, you sort of replenish. You've always got a choice of 5. And once all the tiles run out, you count with points, and most points wins. What do you think?
I bought this because I got told it's like a Seth Fell game, and it is. He's infamous for games with little theme, and 6 different actions that sort of intertwine, or you can do this action and get to do this action a bit better and that sort of thing. The puzzle's nice. It is solitaire, this puzzle here, but it's quite nice because you can see some of the tiles you're going to be able to pick from next time. So you can see if you put this one out now and pick up that blue token to fill in the gap, then this next tile that's in your display goes out, gets you more actions. You can't do the same thing every game. I wanted to build some connections this game because I thought, connections are good because then you can. Without connections, the witch action isn't very good. And I didn't have many connections at the start of the game, so I had to go down a different route, which is fine because I picked up a lot of scrolls and you can do all this sorts of stuff. And it feels like you need to do some of the actions a lot because obviously when you can do the crystal action 6 times or the wand action 5 times, you get a lot of stuff from that action. Mark was whizzing around the pentagram, picking up 3 tiles at a time because he was moving so far around it. So those powerful actions are good, but it also feels like you end up doing everything. You end up doing some of everything. I definitely did every action more than once throughout the game. Most actions will generate you points in some way, but being first to do them gets you more. So there's a lot going on here in a game that doesn't take too much, and it isn't really heavy. Just kind of, but you can plan ahead, and some people like that.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, I agree. It does feel like a felt. I will say mechanically it is strong. The puzzle of putting the pieces to optimise your board is fun. It's probably the bit I enjoyed the most. It does also feel better something when you suddenly start doing the 5 and 6 string actions rather than the 1s and 2s as they evolve. They are good, but as Steve said, you're going to have to do a bit of everything because otherwise you're not going to be doing optimal thing all the time. The races are fine in this. If you don't win the race in this, you don't feel like it's the end of the world. In some games, if you're second something, it is really bad. The only time that can ever happen on this is with the connections. Past that, though, if you don't get the 4 witches on the one track and you only get 2, it's not the end of the world unless you are literally relying them on for your strategy. There is some evolution between the turns, so you can't always expect to be able to do exactly what you thought you were going to be able to do. It's mechanically sound. I'm not sure it's going to be a game that's going to be remembered even in 2 years' time. It's almost a little bit, soulless. It's just kind of, it does feel quite mechanical in a good mechanical way, but it is just a set of mechanisms that are sort of tied together.
Rating?
I think, because I found it just a little bit too solitaire at times, probably 6.5 for me. I did feel I was more just down looking at my board rather than I kind of like occasionally went, well, what are they doing? That might affect me, but generally I was just looking at it.
Okay. Steve?
I usually don't mind that in games, but I can feel that although you'll do something different every game, it will feel very samey. It will be optimising the puzzle given the tiles you've got. But I liked it. Whether I'll play this in 2 years, I don't know, but I'd say 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I particularly like the puzzle of trying to place the tokens on your board and maximise the actions. The racing for all the different things, the pentagram, the connections in the middle, it's fun. And you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You're never going to manage to do everything. But that means that each time you play it, you're not going to sort of know what's going to happen, if you like. You can't pre-plan everything, which is nice. I don't know how much variability is it in the game. It feels like it's going to be quite similar each time you play it. But the scoring tiles that come out, like the scrolls, are going to vary to a certain extent what you're going to do. Ultimately, the tokens you've got behind your screen can limit your actions quite a bit. Like Steve said, it was limited by connections. I really wanted to get lots of crystals off my board to start with. I just couldn't because I didn't draw the crystal tiles. It's hard to mitigate that luck factor, but as Steve was saying, you just have to go down a different route and hope for the best, really. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I would be on 7 out of 10. All right, thanks for watching. That was Witchstone.